Hey everybody. Hang on, get my clicks in order. Alright. Welcome class to Kitchen 101, where we teach you how to think like a chef, how to cook, not what to cook, giving you the knowledge and comfort you need to create and modify recipes to fit your chosen way of eating and lifestyle. Today we're going to talk about the standard American diet, or the S.A.D, the S.A.D, and why it is really horrible and why it's probably the last thing in the world we should be eating. And so let me go ahead and click my button and we'll get onto it. All right, here we go. Finally. Um, if you're out there and you show up, please go ahead and write me a comment. Say hi. I've got the screen pulled up where I can see it. If y'all do say hi, I'll be glancing down occasionally, not to try and be rude, but just to make sure I don't miss anybody. Today we're going to talk, as I said, about the standard American diet, what it is and why it's bad. You hear me talk in my intro, and I always say just about the same thing. I say that giving you the knowledge and comfort that you need to create and modify recipes to fit your, here's the words, chosen way of eating and lifestyle. Is my hand showing up? I don't know. But the reason I say that is because many people today are realizing the problems with just the standard fare that we've been eating as an industrialized nation, our first world nation in the modern world. And it's what we here in the States anyway call the standard American diet, or what many people who have changed the way of eating call the standard American diet, or the S.A.D, which is pretty funny. But I'm pretty sure it kind of goes across all first world nations at this point in history. Probably some more than others. Here in the States is very bad. We eat now. What's wrong with the standard American diet, as opposed to, say, the way people have eaten historically? I hope you can hear this. If you can't, please let me know in the comment section. Also, I've changed the way I'm streaming. I got hopefully a little bit better. Let me know if you're having any choppiness or anything out there. I need to know whether or not I need to change my streaming settings. But anyway, getting on to topic at hand, what's wrong with the standard American diet? Well, the standard American diet consists mostly of hyper-processed carbs. In fact, if you go into most people's houses, you find that they have just rows and rows of boxes or cans of hyper-processed foods. And the problem with all the processing that goes into foods to put them into boxes, into cans or whatever, is it tends to strip out the nutrients we need. In fact, the canning process was actually invented for Napoleon way back in the day. He was trying to find a way to feed his army. The biggest problem always with an army is trying to keep it fed while it's on the move. Napoleon had, as every army has, a great problem with that. Don't worry, it's tea, not alcohol. Napoleon had a great problem with that, and so he actually gave a reward for anyone who would come up with a way to keep food so that his army could take it with them, because food, rots so fast. Fresh fruits and vegetables and meats, they go bad so quickly. So he put out a proclamation saying, hey, look, I'm going to pay you a reward. Anybody can come up with a way to fix this. And what the process that came out of that was canning. Now, there's nothing wrong with trying to keep your food good. We have, even today's modern world, we use a whole lot of canning, a whole lot of jarring, a whole lot of ice boxes. You can see ice boxes and freezers behind me. Great things for keeping food from going bad. The problem with them is that the way that we process them, especially if you're talking about a large operation. So like if you're going to the store and you're going to buy you some canned vegetables, then the problem is that those canned vegetables are cooked to death. See, part of the process, maybe you've heard of a guy named Louis Pasteur. If you've ever tried to buy milk, you've probably seen on there that it's pasteurized. That doesn't mean this. That doesn't mean it's pasteurized. What that means, drink time. Louis Pasteur developed a process to kill the microbes in milk and other vegetables or other things. Milk's not a vegetable. And other things by cooking it. He discovered that if you cook food to a certain temperature for a certain length of time, that it kills the microbes in it. And that was used with the canning process as well. They take and they cook food first, and then they put it into the cans, or the jars or the bottles or whatever. And then to make sure there's no bacteria in them, they cook them again to a certain point to drive out the air and to kill all bacteria that might be in it, and then they seal it. So what happens is you've got a whole bunch of food that you think you're eating good, but you're really not. Pardon me. And then we also have things like, so let's back up just a second. Why is that bad? Why is doing that bad? Why does doing all this cooking hurt food? Well, one thing we've discovered in the time since Louis Pasteur is that when you cook foods to a certain level for a certain length of time, it does kill the bacteria. And there is also good things in the food, our nutrition that's actually in the food, that if you cook it past a certain level, that nutrition will also be destroyed. And the tricky thing with pasteurization is that there are different levels and different times that you can cook things in order to pasteurize them. You can, some things let's try that again. If you cook things at a lower temperature for longer, you can pasteurize it, or you can bring it up to a higher temperature and cook it for a very short amount of time, only a couple seconds, and it will do the same thing. Well, it is a whole lot cheaper, a whole lot faster, a whole lot more efficient to bring foods up to the higher temperature quickly, just for a couple seconds, and bring it down, than it is to keep it at a lower temperature for a longer amount of time, like 30 minutes or so, in order to kill the bacteria and the bad stuff we don't want in it. The problem is that at the lower temperatures, if you bring it up to a lower temperature and let it sit at that lower temperature for a long time in order to kill the bad things, then that is great because it is not a high enough temperature to kill the good things. However, when you bring it all the way up to a high level that you only need a couple seconds at that heat level, that is way more than enough to destroy all the nutrients that are in the vegetables, all the micronutrients. That's like your vitamins and your minerals that are inside your foods are getting destroyed because of the process to try and keep them from going bad. And the reason that companies use the higher level heat is it's cheaper and it's faster, and they can produce more and put out more. And so they can bring the price that you have to pay down while still giving you the product that you're looking for. And this discovery of destroying the nutrients is fairly new as far as the history of canning goes. So a lot of people aren't aware of it, and a lot of people, it's starting to get out there now. You might see some vegetables, some fruits, or whatever you got that are canned or bottled or something, that'll say on them low heat pasteurized. And you'll notice that they cost a lot more money, or they cost a significant amount more for some people. And the reason for this is it does cost more for companies to use this method. It makes the food healthier, but it does cost them more, so that cost gets reflected back on you, the customer, as you're going to pay more. And this is one of the reasons that companies haven't whole scale moved over to this lower heat pasteurization method, is because that when people go to the store, we don't necessarily think what's best for our bodies. What we're thinking really is, I need, let's say, peas. We don't say, I need a can of peas. We don't look for a can of peas that is the most nutritious. We assume that across the board, peas are peas. And it doesn't help that, like here in the States, the FDA that says how much of each, how much micronutrients are in each thing, they don't take into account on how long it's been pasteurized. It was set in, those numbers were figured out and set in stone, written in the law books a long time ago. If you have field peas, then this is the nutrient content that you can put on the label. And they don't take into account of how it's cooked or how anything that's done to it. What pesticides you put on it, what dirt you grow it in, none of that is taken into account when it comes to what is put on the label. It is just, this is legally what these things have. So manufacturers are able to take and can or bottle or jar or however you want to put it, preserve foods in the way that's the least expensive for them, and don't have to tell you that it's done in a way that destroys some of the nutrients. Now, more and more this is coming out, and more people are looking for this. But this is part of the standard American diet. This is part of what is the problem with the foods we eat. Across our country and across most first world nations, there is an obesity problem. And America is much, much worse. My understanding, I haven't been to these other countries, but this obesity problem is huge in the United States. AC just kicked on. I hope it's not coming over everybody. But part of the reason is that we're eating a ton of stuff that is filled with basically carbs. All the nutrients have been taken out of them. And so our bodies don't have enough of the micronutrients that we need in order to process the foods that we eat. And because of this, people are starting to realize, let's take a look at something outside of the standard grocery store, outside of your big box stores, outside of your Kroger, outside of your Walmart. Let's get out of that and start taking a look at other things we can put in to our diet to make us healthier. And the science on some of these things is in no way solidified. I'm not going to come on here and I'm not going to tell you, hey, if you want to be healthy, you need to eat kale. Kale is amazing. I don't know that. I'm not a scientist. I hear a lot of people say that, and it might be true. Kale might be absolutely amazing, but I've heard other things are amazing too. But the truth is that we want, as Americans, and probably this works all over the first world simply because of our I want it now, give it to me now mentality we have. We want a quick fix. We want to say, okay, if I eat kale, then it doesn't matter how much ice cream I eat. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. Right, so you need to figure out for yourself what you need. You might be asking me, say, okay, PK, you're telling me all these foods and all this stuff is not as good for me as I thought it was. What do I need to do? First thing you need to do is you need to educate yourself. Educate yourself. I'm not here to tell you what to eat. My channel is designed, and my purpose is designed around the fact that people are discovering that the way that we've been eating for the past 50, 100 years is bad. It's actually doing more damage to us than it is helping us in many cases. And people are trying to look at how that they can adjust their eating habits. So I'm not here to tell you what to eat. What I have noticed is that there are a lot of different ways of eating that are out there. I'm not going to call it diets because diet has a bad connotation. I don't like that. People think of diet and they think, this is something that I'm going to hate, and this is something designed specifically to lose weight, and I'm going to be on a short term, and then I'm off again. I can go back to what I was doing before. That's not good. We have changed what the word diet means, and it doesn't mean that at all. It's simply the way you eat. That's why I say the way of eating, because it's very precise. The way you eat needs to be tailored to what your specific needs are, and how you will eat. I know a lot of people who have lost a lot of weight on a low-carb, high-fat diet. I also know a lot of people who have lost a lot of weight on a vegan diet or vegetarian diet. Pardon me. Which is, these two are like counter opposites of one another, right? Vegan or vegetarian, you end up eating a whole lot of carbs, end up eating less protein. Whereas in a low carb, high fat diet, you end up eating a whole lot more fat and you drop the amount of carbs you have to very, very low. People tend to lose weight on both of these. And people tend to get healthier. One of the biggest problems we have as a society is that we are sedentary. Most of us have jobs where we sit at a desk 8 hours a day and we don't do a whole lot. And then when we do eat, we're eating things that are very bad for us. We eat a whole lot of hyper-processed foods, or foods that are really good if you're going out into the field and you're, swinging a scythe all day, like potatoes or corn or rice. These have a high carb content that you're going to burn off really quickly. But if what you're going to do is you're going to eat a high carb supper and then you're going to go sit in front of the television, well, all those carbs you just ate are now going to turn into fat. And those fat that you get, it doesn't just come on the outside, and that's what a lot of people don't understand, is your fat that you have in your body is not just under your skin, it's also around your organs. And that's where a lot of problems come in. And that's why obesity is something that can really do major damage to your body, because it's not just outside that where you're having the problems, it's inside, around your liver, around your heart, around your lungs, around all your inner organs. And the main thing with this is not how much exercise you get. It is important to exercise to make sure you're getting a certain level of it, but honestly, it's what you're putting in your face that makes the big difference. If you were to change what you're eating, then it's going to change how your body looks. The saying is garbage in, garbage out, right? And that's very, very true for our bodies. And that is the major problem with the standard American diet, is that it is largely garbage in. We put in hyper-processed carbs that do nothing but make us fatter and don't give us any nutrition. That's the reason for this channel, is to give people like you who are looking to make a difference in their life, in their health, a way to cook. Because most of us nowadays, I'm a Gen Xer, and there's a whole lot of my generation, and there's a whole lot of our children who don't know how to cook. They simply have no idea how to do it. So that is why I am here. That's the purpose of this channel. A lot of people, they'll just go out and maybe on YouTube or Food Network or someplace else, they find some recipes and they just duplicate those recipes without knowing what's going on. The problem with that is that you don't know if you're actually putting things that are good for you in your body. You're just following someone else's recipes. You need to do your research, find out what works for you. My youngest daughter was, for a while, she was vegan, and she got pretty healthy during that, and my oldest daughter is still a vegetarian. I have diabetes, type 2. I cannot eat that method. I was eating for a very long time a low-carb, high-fat diet. And all three of us lost a ton of weight. We got down to where we had very low body weight percentages. And because of that, our bodies got healthier. But we also have to look at what other types of things are we putting. Are we getting the micronutrients we need? We might be getting the macros. Are we getting the micros? And therein lies where you have to really know what you're doing. You have to have your research. Are you eating the right stuff for you? Go talk to your doctor. Make sure that have your blood tests done. Find out what your levels are. A lot of people in the States have a low B12 and low vitamin D content. Well, one of the things that causes this is artificial sweeteners. If you're taking in a lot of artificial sweeteners, that can stop that. Also, if the foods you're eating don't have the right micronutrients, then even if you take in like a pill, if you got a bottle of pills that are like this is vitamin D. If you have, I'm low on vitamin D, I'm going to take some vitamin D. Well, if your body doesn't have the other micronutrients it needs to process the vitamin D, then you're not absorbing it. It's going to come in your mouth and just go right on out. So do your research, talk to your doctor, get your blood test done, know what you need to put in your body. Maybe you do need kale. Maybe you don't. Maybe you need something else. But it's up to you to do that. My job is to show you how to make it tasty and make sure that you're on the right track to having the best health you possibly can. And so that is the reason why you need to stay away from the standard American diet. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. And everybody, I just hope you have an awesome rest of your day. I am going to try this week. I've got some extra time, and I want to try and hopefully every day get out a little video, just on a little something to just try and encourage you and give you some help and some ideas on how to make yourself and your family healthier with really great food that you love to eat and it's fun for you to cook. I hope you all have a great day. God bless. Class dismissed. And not to knock over my tea while I'm trying to stop the live stream. God bless everyone.